Ugh. What's up, guys? It's Mason the Brock Henderson here. It's Elementary, Season 6, Episode 16, Uncanny Valley of the Dolls. Oh, man. I'm really glad I've got 2 more episodes, because if that's the episode I was ending on tonight, nightmares. Freaking nightmares. Yeah, as far as the case is concerned, pretty good. Another enjoyable case for the most part. I did like the fact that I was really worried it really was going to be all about the sex dolls, and I was going to be really just kind of like, I don't think that's worth killing over. But I did like how it actually tied into this other thing. But then the sex doll was important in the end because it was what used to catch the killer. So yeah, I thought it was a good case. But let's talk about the other part of this episode. So Marcus gets turned down. He's trying to register for this class. It's the last class he needs to get his master's. So then he can, join the U.S. Marshals in a few months. But he gets turned down, so he's trying to look into it. One of his friends got accepted to the class, even though they said the class was full. And so I was like, wait, what's going on? So they finds out apparently this teacher has a grudge against Sherlock, and you're not really sure why. I did like Sherlock is talking to Watson, and he mentions how he has gotten better at understanding social decorum. So they actually do address the problem that I've had, and that's really good for me. In my opinion, it does clear up some of the problems I've had, because it's not just about understanding it. He even talks to the Professor Baines was his name. He talks to him at one point and even says, back then I didn't think social decorum was all that important. So he understands it, and we know that he's a very smart guy. So we know he understands it, but most of the time he just doesn't employ it because he doesn't think it's necessary. But in this show, he actually has gotten better at it. He's gotten better at knowing when to understand the social decorum and when to apply that and when to say things that would fit within that social decorum. So they did address that a little bit, and I'm happy about that. It still doesn't change the fact that there have been a couple times where it looks like he feels what he's saying. I think that's overstepping a little bit. I think he understands social cues now, but I don't think he still feels it, though. I don't think that fits with him because he's not really supposed to feel that. But anyways, getting past that part, he goes and sees this professor, and he apologizes. He says, look, back then I was using drugs. I'm not going to blame it all on the drug use, but I didn't think social decorum was that important. I apologize for all that, and I hope that you can accept that. And then the guy says, oh, you think I've just been holding a grudge against you because you're rude? No. That has nothing to do with it. And they pulls out his old case file. He's like, you solved this case before I did, and they passed me over for a job, so that's why I'm pissed. First of all, the fact that he was taking out his grudge on Sherlock, on Marcus, because he knew Marcus was close, or at least was affiliated with Sherlock in his work now. The fact that he was doing that to begin with, no matter the reason, even if Sherlock was a huge asshole to him back in Scotland Yard, even if that were the case, I was still gonna be like, yeah, but taking it out on Marcus, I mean, that's still pretty petty. Like, I wasn't okay with the fact that he was taking it out on Marcus before then. But then we find out it's not even because Sherlock was rude. He's pissed because Sherlock is better than him. Like, it's already super petty that you're taking this out on somebody else that just happens to have ties to Sherlock. That's already petty. And then you're going to tell me that the reason you're being petty in the first place is because of another petty reason? Oh. As soon as he said that, I felt my blood boil. And thankfully, the show seemed to treat it with the amount of respect that it deserved, which is none. Sherlock even said to Joan, because she asked him, she's like, so what, are you gonna You gonna apologize to him? I mean, Marcus is on the line here, and he even calls him out. He's like, I was fully ready to accept my mistake, but to apologize for somebody else's mistake, for his mistake, and on top of that, there's no guarantee he would even let Marcus in after the fact, which is completely true. Somebody that's that petty because he got passed over for a job. So, oh my god, that, ugh. I'm not saying that people can't be like that, but when I see that, it really frustrates me. Even though that might have been the goal of the writers to make him very unlikable and almost make us want to hate him, even if that were the goal, it still pissed me off. Oh, that's why at the end I was so happy with how he dealt with him. Like it wasn't just okay, yeah, he gave him a good job, which I don't even think he deserved. If I'm being perfectly honest, I think Sherlock was very nice with what he did because he ended up giving him another job, and of course the guy was just like, "Oh yeah, so you still win in the end," and Sherlock comes back with, "Look, if you don't take the job, then you'll make me your enemy. You might think I've been your enemy, but I promise you, you don't want me as an enemy." He basically kind of threatens him into taking this better job with better pay just to get out of the way and let Marcus have what he deserves. So even at the end, like there's still that kind of like he doesn't deserve this. He doesn't deserve to get a better job with better pay. Like that's ridiculous. Everything he's done, he doesn't deserve that. But at the same time, I'm glad that Sherlock kind of got to one up and be like, look, you do this or else I'm coming after you. Like, what you're doing is ridiculous. And you deserve every ounce of what I would give you if you were to make me your enemy. Oh, man, oh man, oh man. That just... if they meant to piss us off, they did a very fantastic job with that storyline. Because, that was... Okay. But with that being said, the only other thing to talk about really is just that ending. Perfect comedy. Just perfect. Because at first, like, I hear, Marcus is walking by, and you just hear Scarlett, Marcus. And he walks into the room, she's like, I did it. I fooled them all. Help me escape. And as soon as she started talking about that, I'm like, okay, Sherlock put her up to this. But at first I'm like, oh God, no. Oh God, no. Don't let this be like a dream sequence or something. Anyways. But yeah, overall it was a pretty solid episode. I hope, I really, really, really hope that they intended to piss us off with that professor storyline. If that was the case, and they did their jobs fantastically. But other than that, I'm glad that they finally touched on the fact that Sherlock does seem to start to understand social interaction, social cues, and decorum and all that more often. I'm glad they brought that up finally, because it's something I've had a problem with, and they talked about it. Now I just, stop making him look like he feels all this emotion, because while he understands it, I don't think he feels most of it. But that's just my own personal nitpick. But anyways, now on to the next one to get the nightmare fuel out of my head. See you there. And now episode 17, the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out. Again, it doesn't even fit on the Hulu thing. Like, it cuts off. It's the worms crawl in, the worms see. Thank God this is the middle episode, but even then, the next one's The Visions of Norman P. Horowitz. I mean, that title's ridiculous. I can hardly fit it. I had to cut off the one about the adventures of the Ursats something. Anyways, focus on this. Pretty solid. I really enjoyed the case with it because it kind of started off as something somewhat simple, but then all of a sudden you find out he got shot, and that's when things sort of took a turn. You're like, oh, okay, well, what the heck, because he got stabbed. And so you find out about the bulletproof vests, and then find out about, the company that was selling them, and one thing led to another. Basically, you find out this woman that he was seeing hated the fact that he was killing her or ruining her chances of getting the patent for this whole thing. So yeah, overall, I mean, it was pretty solid, but the big thing from this, of course, Michael's coming back. Because the thing is, like, whenever they mentioned at the beginning, talking to his doctor, and they mentioned they got robbed and somebody stole his file, my first thought was, okay, this feels like it's going to have some significance, right? Like, why? Because it's not just his file that got stolen, but I feel like that's the important thing, right? Like, it wouldn't just be, oh, your file just happened to get stolen along with some others. That would be too simple. Like, I was really hoping it wasn't just going to be like, oh, yeah, some random guy stole files and yours just happened to be a part of it and he gets it back. So, sure enough, after some funny moments where, he sees a guy who's apparently using his name to get a work permit and then tells him, get a different identity. I would hate for you to get hurt because you're using my name. But at the end of it all, he finally finds the guy who stole all the stuff and finds out that somebody contracted him or blackmailed him to get it. And sure enough, as he was talking, like before he even gave the name, I had an inkling because he mentioned the fact that the guy started bringing up stuff that he did while he was, using drugs. I'm thinking to myself, almost like somebody else that we know who met a certain man at a meeting who kind of worked his way into his life under the guise of, being helpful. So, anyways, but yeah, perfect setup for what is going to be Michael coming back because it makes sense. I did kind of think to myself, Sherlock is better now. He's been better for a few episodes, at least. So why isn't he coming back? Why is he taking so long to come back? Because I thought, it would make more sense if he were almost kind of keeping tabs on Sherlock to see when's he going to be better, when's he going to get back. And so to have this guy steal his report so he can find out whether or not Sherlock's fully healed, that's a good way to do it. I'm just surprised it took so long to do it because it feels like it's been probably at least a month or so since he, came back and started working again. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious why it did take him so long, but we know that that's what this is all leading to is him coming back, and I'm excited to find out more about him because the thing is he's still very much a mystery. Like we know he's a serial killer. We know that he gets off from the experience of getting away with murder, but it's almost like that kind of ran its course and now he's like, well, now I need a new challenge. And of course his challenge is taking on Sherlock. But why specifically Sherlock? What about him? Is it just the fact that he inspired him again? Is there something else to it? How good is this guy? Because obviously with Sherlock's mind kind of being impaired, he wasn't able to get it right away. But now that he is fully back and his mind is fully ready, is he going to be able to take him on? Is he going to where are their mental acuities? Like how is one better than the other? Are they about equal? I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see just how good this guy is, and what is his end game? Does he go for people close to Sherlock, or is he just interested in killing people and having Sherlock chase after him and trying to prove that he did it? Because they already know he did it, but it's about getting the proof that he did it. And that's definitely going to be the hard part because he seems to be very, very good at covering all of his tracks. So yeah, I'm excited now. I got one more before probably done for tonight because it is late. I'm tired. But yeah, so gonna get to it and see you guys in just a second. And finally, episode 18, The Visions of Norman P. Horowitz. So this was pretty solid. I really like the setup for this case. I really like everything around it. Just I don't know. It was very well done, and I gotta say, I mean, they did a good job. The only problem I have with it is that at the end they suggest this plant that apparently can be used to make people very suggestive, which is how they managed to get that one girl to commit suicide. But also, like, there were a couple other ones that were described that we didn't find. Like, obviously, that one with the girl, it makes sense. But the others, like, we never really looked into those as much. I would have liked it if we could have spent a little bit more time investigating those deaths as well. But the only one we talked about was the one about the girl committing suicide. And then they just chalked it off to, oh, yeah, they have a plant that can control people. And it's like, oh, okay, that seems rather quick to deduce that. So I don't know. I guess I wish they would have either shown us more of the deaths and shown us how they could have set those up, or maybe even talked about this plant at another point. I mean, obviously, it would have been pretty obvious if all of a sudden they started talking about, oh, yes, there's this plant that you can use to control people. And then later on in the episode, whenever you find out this girl kills herself, it's like, well, what about that plant that can be used to control people? I kind of get the fact that it would be a little too obvious to bring it up before the end of the episode. But the fact that you don't bring it up before the end of the episode makes it seem like, oh yeah, there's definitely this plant. Don't research this. This plant online. Don't look into this. That can cause you to be able to control people. Don't look into this. Don't Google it. Stop. Just believe us. This is real, and it might be real. I haven't looked into it because, frankly, I'm too tired to. But yeah, that's about the only problem I really have with it. Is that just all of a sudden, like, boom, he's figured it out. Although the line at the end was pretty fantastic when the wife is getting put in the cop car. How'd you find us? I had a vision. Perfect. But yeah, the mystery and the intrigue were perfectly set up for this case, though, with getting the mysterious, like, oh, here's an obituary for your death. It's going to be happening soon, and then finding out that apparently they're being used to make Henry Baskerville give them money. Yeah, it was very well done. As far as what was going on outside of this case, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Like, it sort of all of a sudden popped up like, oh, I've been robbed. And it's like, okay. And then he gets his money back because apparently the attorney had something to do with it. The attorney that his father provided for him, or that it's his father's attorney, I think. I don't know. But apparently he's the one that stole the money. So then he gave it all back in like these big gold bars. And at the end of the episode, or at one point they talk about his will, and Watson's getting a lot of it. But then at the end of the episode, he has rewritten his will and he's given money elsewhere. And he's like, I don't need all this money. I'm like, okay, what's the point of all of this? I mean, it seemed like maybe they were doing a gun control PSA at the end because he's like, oh yeah, we'll do this buyback thing so people can give us or sell back their guns because that's a good idea for people to give back their guns so that way more guns that the criminals can get that the citizens don't have. But we're not going to get into politics. But yeah, it just seemed like a weird episode. Like, not weird episode, but a weird story. Like, it just seemed like, okay, are they trying to say he's realized that money's not important? Is it talking about him realizing, death is inevitable? Like, he's starting to realize he needs to have preparations in place in case that happens? I don't know. I really don't know where any of that was going towards. Like, it all, that's what I'm saying. I think it might have just been a PSA at the end for gun control. But that's about all I can get, because that's all it led to, was he decided to give money to fund this project that leads to more gun control. That's about all I got from this. I'm just like, I mean, I don't understand what you're going for here. I mean, he does talk to Watson about, like, here's your inheritance, maybe we can stop doing our jobs later, which, of course, ideal world, yeah, you give your guns away, now you can't use them to kill people, right, because those people are probably not. Anyways, again, not getting into that. But yeah, it seemed like a weird storyline. Like, I'm not really sure what they were going for. And especially because the last episode we realized that Michael just got the information that Sherlock is healthy. I assume we maybe get some preparation of that. Like, he talked about that at the end of the last episode. We got to start making preparations because he's coming back. Okay. Could have used that money to prepare, I guess. We could have used that money to gain access or use your assets to prepare for Michael coming back so that way you can one-up him or be ready whenever he eventually shows up. I don't know. It seemed weird. It seemed very out of place and wasn't a big fan of it. Which is weird because the case was a lot of fun. And I was enjoying that. It was whenever they started taking a step back and all of a sudden he just has these gold bars and I'm just like, what's the point? So anyways, but yeah, that's about it for all my thoughts on these 3 episodes. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like and subscribe for future Element reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.